Hey, welcome everybody to our Fireside chat at GRX25. Warm welcome to Stuart Watson, that first cab off the rank, as we try this new concept of having some conversations, in a more relaxed format at GRX25 with some of our thought leaders of the industry. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
I'd like to start by, if you could, just explaining your title.
I lead Rio Tinto's innovation office.
Yes.
What does that mean? Rio Tinto's innovation capability, its community, its people is divided up across a series of product groups, across exploration, across closure, across commercial.
I see.
My role is to work with and through those teams to shape the overall innovation portfolio that we have as Rio Tinto, to help prioritize it, to help make sure we're kind of being more than the sum of our parts. We're using kind of the different assets, the different parts of Rio Tinto to really maximize and drive hard against innovation.
I see. So yeah, that's a fascinating concept. So is that more of a strategic focus or a cultural focus?
We're very much trying to anchor our innovation focus on opportunities and challenges, and those are framed by our strategic focus.
Right.
Equally, encouraging teams to work together, to collaborate across Rio Tinto, but also beyond Rio Tinto, beyond the four walls of Rio Tinto, is a really culturally important thing to drive, in my view, and we're very focused on it.
So does collaboration equal innovation, and do you need technology to create a culture of innovation?
Our particular focus is on technology.
Yes.
And of course, technology doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's very much something that kind of needs to be centered on what people want, what people will support and also buy into. So anchoring technology to kind of people, to process is very much what we're about. The technology in some ways is the easy part, winning hearts and minds against the opportunity, the challenge, and how we drive against that technology is very much what we're about if we're to be successful.
Can you just tell us a bit about your background and your career journey?
Started life, probably as you can tell from my accent, in the UK. I joined a company by the name of ICI out of university. I'm a chemical engineer by background. They became Orica here in Australia. Worked in a variety of operational and technical roles for ICI in Europe, in the US, and also very luckily I came to Australia as part of that role. I then joined the company Accenture, so I got to work with mining companies, paper companies, oil and gas companies, really focused on supply chain and manufacturing enhancement and optimization. Then a role came up with Rio Tinto. They at the time were looking for someone to join their technical marketing practice, which was a big departure for me, but it was very much related to almost the mirror of supply chain, technical marketing, understanding your ore bodies, linking that to your customers. Within the sort of the 20 years, I've probably had sort of technology and strategy as the sort of the common backbone, and then moved most recently into the R&D, the technology focus of Rio Tinto.
And is that R&D capability within Rio, is that formalised? Is there an R&D kind of function that sits within the massive machinery of Rio, or is it a bit like the innovation call to action where it's a cultural imperative?
It's a formalised function in the sense of we as Rio Tinto have R&D embedded in each of our product groups. So within our iron ore business, within our aluminium business, but also within exploration, within commercial. And my role, as I say, is to help link all of those parts up, shape the overall approach, really tie it to kind of the highest value areas, both financial and non-financial, and make sure we're driving as a kind of linked up organisation against those areas, but a formalised function.
Yeah. Where do you see our industry at in terms of automation?
Good question. And I think we're right on the cusp of delivering and sort of achieving something special as an industry on automation. I think the focus of automation always for me needs to kind of be anchored to value and also safety. And accordingly, we're able to be kind of quite surgical, quite precise as to where automation can and should be focused.
Yes.
And I think that's the magic. It's not a one size fits all for me solution that you push into every corner of our industry.
Yeah.
It's very much something that needs to be pointed, targeted, and done in the right way. I think can do something very special.
So do you see automation as a form of innovation? Because if you think of, say, the automation of vehicles, then sort of that's probably going to happen as a matter of course over time.
Yeah.
And you could argue maybe that's not an innovation per se, but from your reaction, it sounds like you do see automation as like a primary element of innovation. Is that right?
It's about kind of helping kind of new technology, sometimes unproven, sometimes more proven technologies, enable the front line, enable our industry. And to do that, there's very much I guess a sort of wiring that needs to be put in place in terms of making sure the technology is truly pointed at an opportunity that people want to solve for. Yeah. You've got to get buy-in, you've got to get people behind the idea. Yeah. And it's only with that kind of wiring that I think kind of innovation truly matters. It's easy to have ideas, much harder to implement them. And absolutely, I see automation as a key area.
So kind of what I'm picking up, you sort of see technology driving empowerment, and through that kind of cultural setting, that's how you kind of create innovation. Is that a fair sort of description?
That's a very fair description. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, right.
As I say, I think kind of innovation's got a wide range. It's a very broad church. It's about that. It's about that cultural enablement.
There's a long-standing view that you get innovation where you see different disciplines kind of coming together and thinking in new creative ways. For instance, engineering and medicine. Yeah. So are you, in your role through your office, looking at other industries in terms of innovation best practices? And what are some of the industries or companies that you think are doing it really well?
Yeah. Looking beyond the mining industry is really important. Yeah. Equally focusing on the great capability that we have within this industry is important. It's the combo for me that kind of generates the magic. We look at many industries, and it depends really on the opportunity sort of setting. You know, I think there's a lot to learn from high tech in terms of the speed at which that industry moves. I think there's a lot to learn from defence. In terms of kind of their thoughtfulness, how they integrate sort of technologies, and link that very kind of purposefully to kind of the realities of defence. Even within the medical profession, I think there's lots to learn from how new sensors, how people are kind of thinking about the sort of the human side of things to play out on things like people rehabilitation post an operation. Is really important as well. So it's quite a sort of expansive view, I know, but I think it's really important, and it is framed by the individual opportunity.
I've heard another theory that sort of it's going to be harder for us as an industry to drive innovation because of the very cyclical nature of our industry. Because when the industry's booming, everyone wants to kind of milk the cow. Yeah. When times are tough, R&D is the first thing to get cut. Yeah. Do you agree with that as a proposition?
I agree. It's a real challenge, and the proof is always in the pudding through time. What I would say in terms of trying to kind of be mindful of that and really respond to that, things like balance are really important. You can't just go after moonshot technology that's 20 years away. You need to deliver wins in the here and now, but you've got to complement that with some of the bigger picture type stuff to win hearts and minds. You've got to really anchor your work to a clear value proposition or business case. And then just very finally, what I would say as well is that making sure that innovation is bought into by different groups. People are constantly moving with a company like Rio Tinto. Yes. Sponsors can change. Yes. Being kind of, if you will, well grounded in the number of people that are supportive and aware of the business case and behind a particular technology is incredibly important. Right. So it's always a challenge, the cycle, but trying to kind of be wise to it and set yourself up in a thoughtful way is really important.
It's kind of the way that we think and we approach, which brings me to my final question around GRX. You've been here all morning and hopefully now get to see what it is we're trying to achieve and build on behalf of the industry, drive collaboration, support innovation, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things so that the industry can be more successful and more progressive. Your reflections after half a day at GRX, Stuart, and the concept that we're trying to create here.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's great. I think the combination of or the breadth, if you will, of kind of the med sector, the folk here at GRX is, from what I've seen, is pretty much second to none on a global basis. I've been fortunate to travel, and I think the breadth here is enormous. And if you kind of extrapolate out of kind of the need to kind of drive here and now innovation as well as big picture moonshot type innovation, we've got the breadth in meds, and having the blend of folk that we have here is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, what you've described that perfectly. World-class mining companies like Rio Tinto, a world-class met sector, and world-class professionals like Stuart Watson, how we actually bring all of that together into the mixing bowl and showcase our industry to the world stage, and within the conference itself, drive collaboration and innovation. So, Stuart, been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate your time and your insights. From us at AusIMM, a massive thank you to you and your time today. So, appreciate it.
And likewise, thank you for the opportunity. It's really important.
Thanks.